This is NickTheGreek.
And this is Cadoink.
And this is
TeamCraft. Today we have a 2v2 between four really good players. We have a TZvZZ. Wow. This is our first double zerg experience for you guys, and so I hope you enjoy it. We have Cadoink, the teal Terran player, spawning on the left bottom position, while we have NickTheGreek, the purple zerg, spawning in the bottom left position as well. And then their opponents are the red zerg Hex with his blue zerg buddy foripper, like for real, I guess, but foripper. It's like something Jack the Ripper would say if he was 21st century. I don't know, but we do have a double zerg, so we could be seeing some sort of like really super early zergling poolage play. Tends to be something that's very hard to deal with in the early game.
Yeah, especially in the lower leagues. If you're in the lower leagues and you are a double zerg, you might just want to try a couple games of the real quick. Maybe some people say it's a little cheesy, but I think it could be a viable strategy if you do it right. A real quick zergling push, at least to destroy their econ and then win in the early mid game to mid game. That's really fun. Now, when I see a double of the same race team, I'm thinking, you know, that's really nice that you can have a lot more of the same units, but at the same time, kind of limiting your unit spread. I feel like I like a mixed race team because I can choose, okay, I like roaches, they have their nice choices, but I want some marines too. I mean, sometimes I'm a zerg, and I really wish I had some zealots.
Yeah, it kind of exemplifies your strength and exemplifies your weaknesses when you double up. Whereas when you pick two different races, they kind of complement each other. But I think that because the game should hopefully be balanced and is getting more and more balanced each and every patch, hopefully in theory, these kind of double teams will work out the same as mixed teams as well. And for the early aggression, we do see that I kind of wall off at my main like this, which I think is very nice. If he sends some zerglings in really early, I can put a marine in right here and then get my SCVs to kind of protect him, and this seems to hold off against early aggression. The problem is when they both go for one of us, such as both going for NickTheGreek or both going for me. But in this game we do see an early expand Vortex and a not so early pull for foripper.
Now, something good that will happen is that I will forget what I was going to say.
Yeah, that tends to happen, especially in 2v2s against double zerg. You tend to forget a lot of things as you think, oh my gosh, there are so many zerglings, what do I do?
Oh, right, so when you see a double zerg and you're playing as a zerg, you might be thinking, great, I'm going to spread my creep everywhere. No, wrong. Though you do want to have that nice viewing, you can perform that with an overlord. Don't spread your creep, I wouldn't, because you're going to give the other player double the advantage that you would have as far as movement. So, while the vision is nice, do it with the overlords, don't do it with the creep.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. If you're playing against one zerg, then it doesn't really matter because you both kind of cancel each other out with that advantage. But when you're against two zergs, that's two people taking your creep advantage as opposed to just one of you taking your creep advantage. So it is a kind of interesting trade-off when you're playing against two zergs, as that creep will really benefit them, maybe even more than it'll benefit you. It just depends on how valuable the knowledge vision is, and whether it will make a difference in your game and your expansions, and kind of depending on how the map is set up. Which in this map we see that the creep spread isn't going to be that necessary because this tower is going to be very easy to hold and to watch your other player. So we do see a very early attack coming for NickTheGreek as well as Cadoink, and there isn't much in the way of an answer to this by Tex or his partner foripper. And they're going to attack and be able to kill all these zerglings, but they are going to go for the blue players first. They see this queen there, but foripper only has two zerglings out. This queen is going to go down extremely quickly as he's getting a macro hatch, but a really early macro hatch, and not a lot of units. He is running his workers away because they don't really have anything else to do but run, or else they'll get killed off. We do see that the zerglings have spawned, but they were killed really quickly by NickTheGreek's zerglings. He's going to see the spawning pool and try to destroy it, which is going to effectively stop foripper from building zerglings. Is going to be obnoxious. Foripper just leaves the game. really quite early.
Yeah, what I saw there was I saw foripper, and he didn't seem to have another expand. He really wasn't producing a whole lot of units. I'm not sure what he was doing. He just had all this stuff and no units to show for it, and that will kill you, especially versus 2 armies, not just 1.
Yeah, we do see Cadoink trying to do some stutter stepping against these Zerglings, but they're just too many, and they're able to pick off all the Marines. And they are going to be doing another attack, although this bit of Zerglings have come a little bit prematurely. Probably should have waited for the rest of the forces, and they are going to be able to be picked off by these Speedlings, as NickTheGreek does not have Zergling speed at this time. And once again, these Zerglings getting out of position, and these Marines and this tank isn't going to be able to do enough damage to take out these Zerglings. He should probably just siege them up, but the Zerglings are coming in. They are going to be picking off these Marines as well as these tanks.
Now, one of the 2 things I noticed, one, whenever you're moving a mixed army, do be careful not to leave any of them behind, because Zerglings are a little bit faster. Zerg tends to be a little bit faster, so you want to make sure that you don't just go up and leave your Terran buddy behind, your Protoss buddy. And then secondly, if you looked over at the Reds' money while he was doing all that microing, it got up to 900. That is big bad news. It's actually at 1,000 right now, 1,100. That is not good at all. You don't want to be able to have that happening. Even though he did have an influx of extra minerals, he should be working and keeping that money low, especially when you're microing. It's almost more important to macro while you micro.
Yeah, he might as well at this time put down another hatchery and make sure he's on top of his larva injects and building more queens, especially on these bases, so his larva injects can make full use of these hatcheries. It'll be very useful for him to be able to spend that money as quickly as he can, because he is going to need those units in the long run. We do see a lot of banelings out for NickTheGreek, as well as these siege tanks, because they saw that mass amount of Zerglings and they're going to be able to pick them off. But we do see a baneling list for Tex as well, so he's going to have his own little army of banelings, especially since he has quite a bit of Zerglings, excuse me, and he is putting down a lot of creep tumors, which is going to be good for him. But now that his partner is gone, this is going to benefit NickTheGreek as well, because he has a lot of banelings, and the banelings will be able to move quicker on the creep and hopefully be able to destroy these massive amount of Zerglings. They are moving to the Zelnaga tower to get the vision that they need to make sure that Tex is moving out.
Now, the problem with I saw with all those creep tumors is that the mass of creep tumors, the density is way too high. What he should have done instead is put down less creep tumors, saved up some energy, and used that queen's healing ability to heal something. I don't know. He doesn't have any really big units. He could have done anything. And we're going to see all these banelings go against. Oh, take out a huge chunk, almost all, actually eventually all of the Marines. But the other banelings on NickTheGreek's side did take out some of those banelings. So it's kind of a baneling trade plus a whole mess of Marines. And now that one lone tank will get eaten by those speedlings.
Yeah, we do see in the units lost tab that it's kind of in Cadoink and NickTheGreek's favor, because those banelings kind of, suicided themselves on all the units. He did lose quite a bit of them when he probably could have made them a little bit more efficient than that. And so he has, 5,000 minerals lost, where Cadoink and NickTheGreek have only lost 3,000. And it's going to allow him to keep macroing and keep making sure they have a good army size. However, he is kind of taking the place of 2 players' bases. So that kind of units lost kind of stacks up, where for him it's only 5,000. For us, we've lost 6,000 in total, so a little bit in his favor. We do see Cadoink taking this base right here, going to be pretty well protected by any ground attacks, because Cadoink and NickTheGreek have their army right here, and Tex will either have to go around or push right through in order to attack it.
Yep, and we see a nice mix of units, trying not to keep with anything too much, just trying to keep it all mixed up. And you see that bio ball over there, those banelings will do some good work against that mess of all sorts of Zerglings. That's what those things are called.
Yeah, and we do see for Cadoink he is getting some Marauders up to do concussive shell to see if he can slow down some of those banelings, but there are quite a bit of Zerglings on the way. They might even need to get some Hellions up with that blue flame, as he's producing like 24 at a time Zerglings, just massive Zerglings. Look at all these Zerglings, just tons and tons of them. But we do see a lot of Zerglings from NickTheGreek, as well as a lot of banelings. and they're going to do a lot of damage, as well as these tanks and these Marines if they can get in a good enough position to siege up.
Now what I would be doing if I was both the Zergs, either Zerg, I would be saying I need something that flies. I need some mutas right now, because you know, you get them, you trick them into thinking, oh, it's just a bunch of ground, just a bunch of ground, just a bunch of little ground, and suddenly you come in with those mutas and you can harass and really do some serious damage to econs, as well as even take like a whole expand or a whole nat if you're really careful. I love mutas.
Yeah, and we do see a Spire on the way. That's a very good thought by you, and as well as Baneling speed, so he is going to be able to do a lot of damage with the Banelings while doing some harassment with the Mutalisk, which is a real pain in the butt dealing with Mutalisk harassment.
One of the best ways to counter a muta harassment is with your own mutas, and if you're not another Zerg, you should just try any flying unit that can attack air, and just make sure you don't clump them, because mutas do have that ricochet damage. So what you want to do is you want to send maybe 2 sets and try to flank.
Yeah, and another thing is you got to make sure if you're playing against Zerg and you are Zerg yourself that you have to keep up in the muta count, because if they have 10, 20 mutas and you only have 5 or 6, your army isn't going to be able to hold that off at all. In fact, it's going to do almost nothing. So I'm going to have to build a lot of Marines to deal with that, and I'm going to have to be running around. It might even be a good idea to build up some turrets, and we do see that I am putting down an engineering bay at this time for upgrades as well as these turrets, and I'm getting ready to take a third up here in the top left position.
It's interesting to see that it is not always necessary for the Zerg to have more expands than the Terran. It's just normally a good idea, though a Zerg can run really well out of just 2 bases.
Yeah, and we do see the Terran and Zerg player moving their forces out and sieging their tank up, but at the same time, Tex is sitting around his Mutalisk to do some poking, and it's going to be really obnoxious, and while he's going to be able to pick off this base, Cadoink and NickTheGreek are going to be able to run in here and destroy all these Zerglings with the amount of Banelings and siege tanks and Marines he has. So here comes the Zerglings at this time. They're all getting bunched up at this ramp, and the Banelings are just doing crazy amounts of damage because all the Zerglings are bunched together, and now Cadoink and NickTheGreek has a huge force of units, while Tex only has a few Zerglings left and now nothing, and they're going to be able to run right up into the base and destroy all of his tech structures, which is very bad. But at the same time, we see these Mutalisks coming down to Cadouink's base, destroying this second base that he's taken, and he didn't run his SCVs away, which means they're all killed, and that's very bad for Cadoink and this command center. He really should have tried to save it, but he wasn't able to, as he doesn't have that much at home. He's getting some Marines to deal with it, as well as these Mutalisks, but at the same time, we see the army was able to pick out Texas main, forgetting to take these out, which they really should have first, and now they're moving into the blue player's base, although the blue player is gone. Rex playing for the blue player, but they are going to be able to pick up this hatchery as well as this hatchery and this spawning pool, and then eventually come down to this base for Tex and destroy it as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of going to be generally, other than those mutas, it's kind of going to be it as far as the actual good gameplay. Everything else from here is just going to kind of be an annoying battle to find the buildings. I would suggest you find your quickest unit, build a lot of them, and find the buildings until you found all of them and destroyed them. And you know, it's really a nice move not to make someone find the building. Instead, just accept the loss and learn from it.
Yeah, I agree. It's really obnoxious when a player does this sort of thing where he builds 3 hatcheries, because he obviously lost the game. I mean, this force is going to be able to destroy these no problem, and we have a ton of bases. And while he's going to be able to pick off my main, because I just kind of leave it be, as it were, I do go up here and I build a ton of turrets eventually. And next thing, just to end it, it's true. I mean, at this point, it's done for the Red Zerg, and I will say he fought very valiantly for being 2v1 in this case. I guess this is kind of like 1.5 TeamCraft almost, but you know, I do let him pick off this base because I am super heavily supply blocked. But at this point, it's just like, I don't care. I know he doesn't have anything. I'm just gonna run around and kill all his hatcheries, because you know, my army will be able to beat his beforehand, and I am building these turrets, so this base is basically untouchable at this time.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot left to say there. He's just building a little building over there, so I'm gonna send my queen go chop at that for a little bit. And later you do see he does build an evolution chamber, which have an awful lot of armament compared to a lot of the other buildings. that are around Zerg. So that might be a good idea if you need to have a building. Just needs to survive. But now you see those mutas doing that beautiful ricochet damage, and not a whole lot going on. And if you prefer videos with a whole lot going on, you should probably subscribe to make sure you get all of the video content by CadoinkStudios. Then you should definitely comment on this video and say, hey, I really wish that you wouldn't play videos when people play the hide-and-go-seek game, and we'll definitely take that into consideration. Or you could leave a comment saying, wow, NickTheGreek, you have the best voice I've ever heard in my life. Maybe. And then you can press the little thumbs up button because you like to give thumbs up because that means a good thing in our country. And then you're probably thinking, geez, I'm tired of all these NickTheGreek and Cadoink videos. So I think you should probably send them to this wonderful email.
Yeah, if you have any good replays, you can send them to CadoinkReplays@gmail.com. And even though we cast games, we do like to analyze, as you can tell. You know, we're giving advice such as putting these turrets up and making sure when you do this kind of stupid little base race that you know you're going to win. You make sure you kind of have an insurance, make sure in case something goes wrong that you can still pull a win. And so when you send your replays to CadoinkReplays@gmail.com, if you have any sort of questions, please feel free to post them in the email and ask your questions, and we'll try to address them as best we can. Because even though we enjoy casting, we do want to improve the community and improve the team replays and improve your gameplay. And so we, you know, just like it's kind of obnoxious to see a little base trade, at the same time, for those players who don't know how to deal with it, they can kind of learn about those situations. So yeah, please send your replays, your 2v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, and we'll cast them here at TeamCraft to CadoinkReplays with an S, CadoinkReplays@gmail.com.
Yep, and now that we see that beautiful, beautiful heaving man down there going, oh, that's wonderful. Anyway, so he's saying hurry up and end it, so I'm gonna kill it right now because this has been NickTheGreek,
and this is Cadoink,
and this was
TeamCraft. Little Marines firing.